In the month of June, we have had literally over $3,000 of extra expenses. We knew they were happening, but that doesn't change that fact, right? Like, even if you know you're gonna have a big expense, it's still a big expense. However, we did not freak out because we planned for this, and I have rules, budget, money saving, frugal living rules that we live by that I'm gonna tell you about in this video. So let me start by why on earth we have over $3,000 of extra expenses this month. We've paid for almost all of them. So one, I am an independent contractor in my day job, and we have to pay quarterly taxes. So 4 times a year, you have to estimate how much money you think you're gonna make in a year, and you pay the government and you hope you aren't underpaying and don't get penalized. Great system, right? That could be a whole video in and of itself, so that one we can definitely plan for. However, you know, it still just seems to sneak up on us every year. For one thing, the first 2 payments of the year are really close together, so that's always fun. Then we have 6 round trip plane tickets to buy for trips later this summer. I'll have a video coming up either next week or the week after that's all about how I saved hundreds of dollars on those flights, because that was also just a necessity. Like, if we're gonna have 6 round trip flights, so 12 one-way flights in 1 month, in the month of August, and paying for all of them in the month of June, a little bit in May, but mostly in the month of June, buying the rest of them in the month of June is what has set us past the $3,000 mark of extra expenses. But we have 2 weddings in the month of August, and yeah, I have a video coming up about how I saved in a bunch of different ways, and actually about how you should not do it the way I did. There's a much better way to save money on flights, and we'll talk about that in the next video, or the one after that, depending on when I get that filmed and published. Anywho, so quarterly taxes, plane tickets, and then also on top of that, we're registering my daughter for preschool. She's gonna start preschool in August, and we had to pay registration fee and a month of preschool tuition and a fee for supplies. So all of that added up to well over $3,000 actually. And unfortunately, in my job as an independent contractor, summer is slow and I make less in the summer than I do the rest of the year. So it's been a doozy, but luckily, again, we did not panic and we're not in the poorhouse because we follow these budget living, money saving rules every day. So let me tell you what they are. So rule number 1 is that we do not buy anything that we can borrow or make do without or use something we already have in a different way. So whether that is something big, like borrowing like an 8-foot ladder to clean up gutters or something like that, or something small, like using an Amazon package box instead of going out and buying a new organizer. Like, it literally runs the gamut from things that cost hundreds of dollars that we can borrow or even like rent. Did you know you can go to Home Depot and Lowe's and like rent things? You don't have to go out and purchase them. So this is twofold. Not only do I not have to spend money on things if I can borrow them from someone else, but I don't have to store it. I don't have to find a place for it in my home, and I don't have to care for it. Like, if I go borrow, like, we recently had a really large tree branch fall in our backyard. Houston was on the news like a month ago because of these huge storms we had. And our effect of that, luckily, was only a huge branch falling in our backyard, but I'm talking like the size of a tree itself, like a small tree, but this branch was the size of a tree. And we had to borrow a chainsaw. Like, we're not gonna go out and buy a chainsaw, we're not gonna pay anyone to do it, but we borrowed a chainsaw and some manual labor from some friends, and had them come over and help my husband chop it up. And it was a task, definitely. But we saved money by my husband doing it. I was gonna say we saved by us doing it ourselves. I did not do anything. We saved money by my husband and his friends doing the manual labor and by borrowing the tool from a friend. And then, yeah, using things I already have. The old phrase, probably Depression era, maybe even from before the Great Depression, is use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. And that's important if you are trying to save money. Like, you don't need to go purchase a solution to every problem you have. I think one of my biggest good qualities is being a creative problem solver. That's something I've always been able to do. and I can think on something for a few minutes and find a way to solve the problem with things I already have, with resources already available to me without spending money most of the time. And yeah, simple things like using a Amazon box, or we have a plethora of diaper boxes and wipe boxes. We've been using that for storage for a while now. I didn't buy any moving boxes when we moved last year because I had a bunch of boxes. I started saving them up a while before that. And we also had the ones from when we moved into our old house, but that was pre having a baby, so we definitely had more things to move when we were moving with my daughter. But yeah, find any way you can to borrow or use something you already have. And if you can't do that, try and buy secondhand. That is also a major way I save money. I buy almost everything I can, anything I can, I buy secondhand. And I try to buy basically everything secondhand. Because you can find really good, barely used things. I bought my daughter a set of like the Duplo, they're not even Duplo, whatever those really jumbo blocks are, for $3 on Facebook Marketplace last weekend. $3. They're like 20 something plus minimum on Amazon. So do some research. This is the thing about saving money. Most of the time you are going to have to put in the time. That's how the world is, right? Like we trade time for dollars. You work and you get paid dollars. You buy things that save you time, or you save money by doing it yourself. Like that's just how most things are. And so that is the case with buying things secondhand or finding discounts or anything. You have to put in the effort and the research. But that's also like how I travel on a budget, is doing a lot of research and putting in a lot of time and effort into these things. So part of it is also planning well ahead. In previous videos talking about saving money on groceries, one of my major points is to not have duplicate items. So I don't buy 5 different types of pasta. I don't have like spaghetti and penne and macaroni and all these different types of pasta. If I'm making a pasta meal, it's using the one pasta I already have on hand. I'm not gonna go buy a second one just because the recipe calls for it. Even if it's something very different like macaroni noodles that are, tall little half circles versus a spaghetti noodle. It'll work, And again, not only am I saving money by not buying essentially duplicates, but I also don't have to store them. I don't have to keep my pantry extra organized with 8 different types of pasta, 7 different types of cereal, things like that. This also can apply to other things. It can apply to clothing, it can apply to entertainment, things like that. We try to rotate through subscription services. So right now we have HBO Max because the new Game of Thrones series is back out. So we canceled, what did we cancel? We canceled Prime, we canceled Amazon Prime. We can order things from like Walmart, from Target, from Amazon without Amazon Prime. So we canceled Prime, got HBO Max instead. We do have Disney Plus, Hulu bundle all the time because we have a toddler. And sometimes I need to put on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse so I can get things done, But we try to do that also, where we don't have duplicates of anything. We don't have duplicate food, we don't have duplicate entertainment, we don't have duplicate clothes. I wore the same dress to 2 of my 3 sister-in-law's weddings. And I intended on wearing it to my 3rd sister-in-law's wedding, one of the ones we're buying plane tickets for. But after having a baby and going through the pandemic, it doesn't fit anymore. But that was totally my intention to wear the same dress to the 3rd sister's wedding because at this point it's like funny. And I still have it. I probably should get rid of it, but I do really love that dress, and maybe one day it'll fit again. I'm lying to myself, aren't I? But I am going to wear the same dress to the 2 weddings in August, because why not? Like, it's August, they're similar in style, the dress works for both of them. I don't need a separate dress. I don't need 2 wedding dresses for these 2 weddings. And I think I actually wore it to another wedding, but I don't even remember which one. But you don't need multiple dresses for different weddings. I mean, obviously if you have like a black tie wedding and a spring summery garden wedding, those are going to be different. You are going to have something. You don't need to buy something though if something in your closet will already work. I know that's a big one for a lot of people. If you have an event coming up, you go and buy something. Don't do that. Make do or do without. Another thing that I talk about in my grocery saving videos is limiting junk food, and that is a major one. Like, the junk adds up. Whether it is junk around your house or junk in your kitchen, junk adds up. So try not to buy cheap toys that are gonna fall apart, that type of junk, and try not to buy junk food. And you can watch my other videos talking about grocery savings to hear more about what I mean by this. But basically, when you buy junk food, you are spending more money. Like a bag of chips, for that little bit of chips you get at the bottom of the bag, a bag of chips costs more than like a bundle of grapes. A bundle? A bunch? A bunch of grapes. Bundle. So your kids may not gravitate towards grape versus chips, but find something that is more filling, because when you eat a bag of chips, you don't get very full, right? Like if you eat it along with a sandwich or something, sure. If you just eat some chips, you're gonna be hungry again 20 minutes later. If you eat cheese and crackers, that's kid friendly. If you eat cheese and crackers, it's gonna be cheaper for the amount you get, like cheaper per ounce, and you're gonna actually be full. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Leave me a comment if you don't understand what I mean. But junk food costs more, doesn't fill you up, so it costs more in 2 ways. It costs more per ounce, and it costs more because you're gonna need to eat again a few minutes later. And then another one about food, and the reason this video that is my like money saving rules in general talk so much about food is because food is such a major thing. Like obviously it's more difficult to move to cheaper housing than it is to cut your grocery bill. Although some people might argue that. Some people might say saving money on food nowadays is harder than moving to a new house. And honestly, I could see that point. But for the most part, it is truly easier to lower your grocery bill to save money on food than it is to cut many other expenses. Other than like if you have 15 subscription services. But even then, a lot of those are like, what, like $5 to $15? So you might save like $30 to $45 a month if you cut a bunch of those and you have a bunch. But your food budget, you can save hundreds a month, okay? So this last one is about food also. And when I talk about saving money on food, I am meaning any food you eat. So not just the food you're buying at the grocery store and eating at home, but also any food you buy out and how to avoid that. Because again, kind of like the junk food thing, you're paying a lot more for what you're getting when you buy food out. Well, obviously, everybody knows that. That goes without saying. So no nights out. That is basically what we landed on for the month of June. However, we did end up going out a couple of times. But my parents treated us one of those times because it was Father's Day weekend. We went out for Father's Day and we went out for dessert for my mom's birthday. But dessert is cheaper. So that's another thing is if you are going to go out to celebrate something, if you're going to go out with friends, if you're trying to meet a friend, find a cheap way to do it. So like coffee or dessert, something like that. An afternoon snack, I don't know, tea. But find a cheaper way to do that. And then for dinner, for going out with your family, try to cut it entirely. And the best way to do that is to have backup meals, emergency meals on hand. So I like to keep frozen pizza, frozen pasta. I like to keep those things in my pantry, in my freezer, all of these backup options. I have a whole video about my favorite emergency dinners. Also, I'll link it actually, have it pop up here. But that is one of the best ways to save money every month is to limit your days, nights out. Whether that is entire meals or stopping for a snack because your kids are hangry in the back seat, right? Like try to prepare ahead of time and pack some snacks. A box of granola bars is going to cost you a lot less than hitting up the Chick-fil-A drive-thru for some french fries to calm the kids down, packing a snack if you're going to like swim meets, all of these things. Again, putting in a little time and effort ahead of time is going to save you big. However, when it comes down to it, there's only so many ways to cut your budget. I know, like that is true. So one of the things I also worked really hard on in the month of June was trying to, I would say make more money, but because of how scant, how low my summer income often is, and again, we knew this when we prepared for it, but because of how low my summer income often is, I tried more to like mitigate that. Instead of saying making more money, I'm trying to say, what am I trying to say? My income goes down every summer, and so rather than like trying to increase my income in the month of June and July, what I've been focusing on is just trying to lessen how much my income has reduced for these months. So I've been like reaching out to clients, trying to get more people on my calendar, like doing kind of some marketing things, finding other ways to boost my income to at least keep it a little bit closer to what it usually is. Because yeah, there's only so many ways to cut the expenses in life. There's the obvious frivolous things, but when it comes down to it, life costs money. Families cost money, kids cost money. So sometimes you do have to focus on increasing your income. And I can do that a little bit. I can manipulate my day job, luckily, since I'm an independent contractor. But also, I have this side hustle. I sell pre-made meal plans. I've got some new products I'm working on. I am creating a kind of like a pre-made meal plan, but I'm calling it like a system, I guess. I gotta come up with a better term for that. But I'm gonna be selling a like instructional video along with meal plan and recipe book for my mini prep method, where I show you how to do a little bit of pre-prepping for dinner to then have like evening dinner times be much faster and much simpler. So like you prep veggies, you prep meat ahead of time, you prep the sauces, whatever, prep different components of meals so you can easily, quickly throw it together on the actual weeknight. and I'm doing all of that pre-work for you. So for a one-time fee, you're gonna pay me for that time. But that'll be coming soon. But that is a part of it. Like, I don't want to act like, oh, just save all your money these ways. Sometimes you can't, and I get that. So, you know, maybe if you're really struggling, side hustles are something you should look into. Leave me a comment if you have any questions about that. If you think I should do a video about like how I juggle my time working, being a toddler mom, and doing a side hustle. It's hard, and I haven't been on YouTube in a couple weeks because I got sick. So it is a struggle, but I will leave some links to different accounts that talk a lot about that, talk about side hustles and making extra money, where I get some inspiration and tips. But for me, savings rules are beg, borrow, buy secondhand, don't have any duplicate things, whether it is duplicate streaming services, duplicate clothing, duplicate food, all of those things, and then don't waste money on empty things. Don't waste money on empty junk food. Don't waste money going out to eat a lot. Team, we have food at home, right? And then yeah, if you can, find ways to up the income while you lower the expenses. All right, if you found these tips helpful, please like this video, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel for all of my videos for saving money in the kitchen and in day-to-day life and on travel. Like I said, I've got some more videos about that coming up. Follow me over on Instagram to see some more like behind the scenes things, to hear some of the details about our upcoming trips. Tips for traveling with a toddler will be upcoming in more videos. We're gonna see how this goes. Wish us luck, and I will see you in my next video.